of the world.
It's really small.
How small?
Too small.
Well, size isn't everything.
Well, that's the scale it said. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Fumbling Through the Galaxy. Today is actually a quick little mini episode, not really looking at a specific new figure or a figure that I recently purchased, but in response to one of my viewers who asked me to scale the Kotobukiya 1/10 scale pre-painted models next to the Gentle Giant 1/6 scale maquette series. So because you know what, I'm assuming like me, they collect the Clone Wars, and as it comes to Clone Wars, you've got these fantastic maquettes that were made by Gentle Giant, which I'm still hunting to this day, and then you've got the great 1/10 scale pre-painted model kits from Kotobukiya that feature, of course, General Skywalker, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, Captain Rex, Clone Commander Cody, and of course Yoda. So, but then I thought, you know what, while I'm at it, why don't I just quickly look at kind of, in my collection anyways, you know, what is considered 1/6 scale versus like 1/7 scale, and then also specifically look at that comparison I was asked to do. So, you know what, I mean, ultimate takeaway, and I wrap it up at the end as well, is that, you know what, everybody's got a different idea of how they're scaling their figures. Everybody's got a different way of scaling them. They don't always scale against other lines. So anyways, we'll get to it. Let's look at a couple of examples that I have, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so this is the first toys that we're going to look at, the first figures in this review or this comparison, and this is the Gentle Giant animated maquettes. So these are 1/6 scale figures. And as you can see, Leia, Han, as well as Boba and all the other characters, everything actually scales relatively well to each other. So as you've seen from my reviews, I've got Asajj, I've got Barriss with Luminara. So all of these are actually very, very similar in scale, and they all scale extremely well next to each other. And so here we have Han, 1/6 scale Gentle Giant, versus Hot Toys Ahsoka from Clone Wars Padawan, also 1/6 scale. So you can see again, you know, quite a difference here between 1/6 scale between these two companies. So here we have the 1/6 scale busts from Gentle Giant. So as you can see, these do scale really well with each other. So this is the comparison that one of the viewers asked me to do. And this is the 1/6 scale maquette from Gentle Giant versus the Kotobukiya 1/10 scale pre-painted figures that I had featured of the Clone Wars, Rex, Cody, as well as Skywalker, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka Yoda. So yeah, here you can see, like, they don't scale at all. So this is quite a significant difference in size. So that was a quick look at some of the scaling as it relates to some of the stuff that I collect. Again, in response to the viewer who reached out about how the Kotobukiya 1/10 scale scales versus the maquettes. You know, there's a significant size difference. They certainly don't scale each other at all. And then again, to come back to stuff I've said over and over again, and you've probably seen in many other toy videos and toy reviews, scaling seems to be very, very subjective, right? So I can put 5 different 1/6 scale figures from 5 different manufacturers and have 5 very different sizes. So really at the end of the day, you know, I personally, when I'm collecting stuff, I collect lines. So the lines tend to scale with itself. Very rarely does it not scale with itself if it's a run, and if it's the same manufacturer. So, you know, that certainly helps me avoid any kind of scaling issues. And then I very rarely mix, you know, figures between manufacturers and lines, you know. So I tend to stay within those runs from those makers and those manufacturers. And so it kind of avoids all that. But if you're somebody who mix and matches a lot, you certainly cannot go by the scaling that you see on the box. you've got to actually see what the size is relative to the size that you have and hope that it matches. So I hope that was helpful, specifically for the viewer asked about it. If anybody else was watching this and found it interesting, I'm happy that you did. Again, like, share, subscribe, and thanks for tuning in. May the force be with you always.